Okay, so today's lesson is influence of Hinduism on society, and our focus question is, what are the characteristics of a religion or a belief system? So before we get started, let's do the mood meter. So who wanna go first? So Xavier?
I'm in the yellow and I feel happy.
In the yellow and you feel happy. Axel?
I'm in the blue and I feel tired.
In the blue you feel tired. Dylan?
Furious. Red, furious.
In the red and you feel furious. Oh, I hope you feel better. Aiden?
I'm in the yellow and green. I'm in the yellow because I'm surprised, and I'm in the green because I'm chill.
And Jahir? Which one?
I'm in the green and I'm in the blue and no, I'm in the red and I'm anxious.
You're in the red and you're anxious, so
Yeah.
I hope you feel better. Layla?
I'm in the green because I'm chill.
So you feel in the green and you feel chill. Okay, so today's learning target. So who wanna read the learning target? Jahir?
Okay. I can explain how Hinduism affects the social, other, and cultural practices of its followers.
Okay, so it says I can explain how Hinduism affects the social order and cultural practice of its followers. And so what do you think, based on that, what do you think we're gonna be learning about today?
Hinduism affects the soul order of the sun.
So what religion are we gonna learn about?
Hinduism.
Hinduism and how it affects what?
The soul. The culture.
Order? So it affects the culture or the social order of things, right? And we're gonna use vocabulary such as reincarnation, Atman, Dharma, caste system, and Mashka to describe the Hindu religions. So have you guys ever heard of any of these terms before?
No.
No? Not at all?
Yes.
Which one, Dylan?
Atman.
Atman?
Mhm.
What does that mean?
Me. We have a lot of men.
Not necessarily. Who else? What about karma?
Oh yeah.
Karma, right? So today's we're gonna do now, right? So we're gonna talk about karma. So have you ever heard of the word karma? And if so, share with a partner what you know about it. So you guys are gonna do a turn and talk. Have you ever heard of the word karma? And share what you know about it. So turn and talk.
Yeah, I have a little problem.
I heard the word karma because one time I was being with my friend and 2 minutes ago I fell.
Where did you hear?
What about you?
Good karma means if you do something good, and that means
One time I was bullying my friend
good things will
and I
happen.
fell on my head.
You bad things, and bad things will happen.
What about you?
Karma will come back to you and make you have a really bad day.
Okay, so now let's talk about it. Can I get 2 people to share? So Xavier and Jahir.
What I know about karma is whatever you do to someone, it'll come back to you.
So whatever you do, someone will come back to you. Okay, good.
So if you do something good, good karma. If you do something good, good things will happen. And if you do bad, bad things will happen.
So if you do something good, good things will happen. If you do something bad, bad things will happen. So basically what goes around comes around, right? And this comes from what religion? Hinduism, right? So we know that Hinduism is one of the oldest known religion, emerging around 1500 BCE in the Indian subcontinent, where is India? What continent? Asia, right? It has no single founder and is a rich tapestry of philosophers, rituals, and beliefs. So just like Christianity have Jesus Christ, or Buddhism have the Buddha, right? The Siddhartha. This one has no single founder, right? So these are some key beliefs of Hinduism. First, we have the cycle of birth, death, and rebirth, and it's called the samsara, or you guys heard of reincarnation? What does reincarnation mean?
When we die,
So when you die, you come back as a new human being, or it could be an animal, right?
Or a thing.
Also, we have the karma, which we just talked about in do now, right? What goes around comes around. If you do good things, good happen. If you do bad things happen. We also have the dharma, and dharma means duties, like your duties in society, right? So my duty right now is to be a teacher and to teach you, right? And your duty is to be a student and to learn, right? So that's what
And Mashka means
Mashka.
liberation from the cycle of rebirth.
And Mashka means liberation from the cycle of rebirth, right? So when just like Christian, the ultimate goal is to go to heaven, right? Mashka, for Hinduism, the ultimate goal is Mashka, is when you stop reincarnating, right? You stop being born, right? And your soul transcends to the universe, like on higher power, right? So karma in Hinduism, like I just said, karma is the belief that every action has a consequence. Good actions lead to positive outcomes, while negative actions lead to suffering, affecting future lives, right? We don't need that. So we have the path to liberation. So Mashka is the ultimate goal in Hinduism, where the soul is free from the cycle of reincarnation and reunites with the Brahman, the universal soul. So in Mashka, the reincarnation process stops and your soul transcends beyond, right? Okay, so now today we're gonna watch a video so we could define all those terms, right? Dharma, Mashka, Atman, Karma, and reincarnation, right? So as we're watching this video, just pay attention to what each term means, right? And you guys don't have to copy the definition because it's gonna be on the word wall, right? So as we're watching, just pay careful attention to what each word means, right?
For those of us in the Western world, today's lesson on the Hindu belief system will probably be a bit alien. In fact, other than the word karma, I'm betting most of the terms will be new. In order to help these new concepts stick, we'll try our best to link them to the familiar. As we do this, please remember we'll be doing some real oversimplification while merely scratching the surface of an ancient faith. With that warning of sorts, let's get going on our terms. We'll start with Atman. Atman basically means your eternal self, the spiritual essence of who you are. It's not the body you inhabit, nor is it the sum total of your material possessions.
So it says Atman means eternal self, the spiritual essence of who you are. So what could be an example of Atman? If it means you're, not medicine, but think about your body. Not meditating, but think about, I'm gonna play it a little bit more.
It is the spiritual you. For our purposes, we can try to remember this with a sort of play on words, saying Atman is the spiritual essence of who I am.
So Atman is the spiritual essence of who I am, right?
Our closest match to Atman is probably our use of the word soul.
So what's the closest? Our closest match to Atman?
Soul.
Soul, right? So think about Atman as our soul, right?
However, there are some huge differences. For instance, the Western Judeo-Christian system tends to believe when a person dies, their soul travels on to heaven or hell. In other words, paradise or eternal suffering are the end of the road. This is not the case with Hinduism's Atman. Instead, it is believed that a person's Atman is reincarnated, only to be housed in another physical, but again temporary body. This belief in reincarnation leads us to our next Hindu term.
Okay, so how can we define Atman? Someone tell me.
The soul of the body.
So our soul, right? And how is it different from Christianity?
In Christianity, when you die, you go to hell or heaven. But in this, you get reincarnation until you go to higher heights.
Okay, so good job. So in Christianity, we go to heaven or hell when you die, right? Your soul. But in this, in Hinduism, your Atman, it reincarnates to, you said, a human being or an animal, right? Okay, now we're gonna look at the next term.
Karma. Lucky for us, this one is a bit
And
more
we already
familiar.
know this one, right?
In very simplified terms, karma is the Hindu belief system that a person's actions in life will determine their fate in the next life. If a person is kind and selfless in this life, they'll be rewarded in the next. Unfortunately, the opposite is also true. If a person is a scoundrel today, let's just say they'll be paying for it in their next tomorrow. Although our culture doesn't always use the word karma, Vestiges of it are apparent in phrases like, "What goes around comes around," or "He sure got what was coming to him." Building on the idea that actions affect life, our next Hindu term
So we already know what karma means, right? What goes around comes around. We already talked about that one.
is
Oh,
Dharma.
it's Dharma.
This
okay.
one is especially important in the Hindu faith, but probably the most alien to the Western mind. For this reason, we'll give a simple definition, then come back around and try to make it stick. As for the definition, Dharma is the moral force that orders the universe. It's the power that keeps the world in motion and keeps society ticking. It keeps the trees blooming, the grass growing, and the birds singing. However, Dharma is maintained through personal duty. Simply put,
So what do you guys know about Dharma? What do you think from the video?
Let's maintain the personal duty.
So it's maintained through personal duty. And what do you think personal duty means?
Like what you do.
Like what you do, your duties in
Like
life,
your
right?
personal job.
Like could be your job, right? So that's basically what Dharma means, right? It means your duty, whatever duty you have to perform, right? So Dharma maintains the order of things, right?
it's up to humans to do their part to keep the world operating smoothly. With this, Dharma is both universal and circumstantial or personal. I know this seems rather confusing, so I'll come at it using a tangible example. Most faiths hold to the idea that murder is wrong. Across the board, it's usually a no-no and would go against Dharma. However, sometimes murder may be necessary for the greater good. For instance, what if a king kills a few people in order to avoid an all-out war? Although this is a rather violent argument on the use of personal Dharma, it's a famous one taken right from the pages of the ancient Hindu story about Dharma known as the Bhagavad Gita. In this Hindu classic, a ruler's crown is challenged by rebellion. Since the ruler knew murder was wrong, he put down his weapons and refused to kill the rebels. However, the god Vishnu appeared and told him it was his personal duty, or dharma, to kill his enemies in order to protect his people and bring peace to his lands. Yes, senseless murder would go against the universal idea of dharma, but in this story, it was the honorable ruler's personal duty, or dharma, to kill. With this in mind, we can simplify and remember dharma by saying it's a person's individual duty in life. To use some alliteration,
So what's it? Dharma is what?
Our job,
Your duty, right? So when you think about Dharma, just think about your duty. What's your personal duty, right?
Personal duty.
Personal duty, right? My duty is to be a teacher. I teach you guys. Your duty as a student, you learn, right? It's your personal duty.
My duty is to
Dharma
learn all of the
equals
countries
duty.
in the world.
Learn all the countries in the world.
this brings us to the last of our Hindu terms, moksha. Fitting nicely in last place, moksha can be very, very, very loosely compared to the Christian heaven. In short, it's the liberation from the cycle of birth and reincarnation. It's the prize at the end of the very long Hindu road. As a person's Atman or soul passes through the cycles of life and reincarnation, it is supposed to learn freedom from ignorance, selfishness, and many other negative human traits. When this is finally accomplished, a person's Atman can rise above the need to be reborn. Therefore, the cycle of reincarnation will end, and the person's Atman is released to transcend beyond the human existence. In Hinduism, this is the ultimate goal, or to use some alliteration, moksha is the main goal.
So what's a moshka? Who can define moshka for me?
the main goal
So the main goal for what?
to pass on to the next life.
To pass on to the next life. So doing moshka, what happens?
And when you die,
You die. What happens when you die?
go to moksha and you go to like heaven and Korea.
It's kind of like heaven for Christians, right? But in moshka, what happened? When people in India die, right? They get what?
Reincarnation.
Reincarnated. But with moshka, do they get reincarnated?
No.
No, the reincarnation what?
And
It ends, right? And they transcend into the universe. Okay, so that was our video. I'm gonna go get the lights. Okay, so in the video we talked about how karma is whatever goes around comes around, right? Whatever you do in life, that's the effect, right? You do good, good things happen. You do bad, bad things happen. We talk about dharma, which is the order of things, right? It's your personal duty, right? We talk about reincarnation. When someone dies, like Axel says, they revert into a human being or something else. And today we're going to also talk about the caste system. Have you guys ever heard of the caste system? No?
No.
Did you ever heard of the caste system? So the caste system is a class structure that is determined by birth, into which the Indian people of India were traditionally divided. So remember I told you guys about social class? You guys remember about social class? You can remind me.
First when you're in a level that
So you're on the level.
top that is a king.
Top
the,
level.
The under it is like the knight.
Right?
There's a
Xavier, you want to help him?
Like the rich classes, the middle classes, and the poor
So
classes.
it's like all people are ranked, right? Based on, like in society we have the upper class, we have the upper middle class, the lower class. Like we have more people who have, people that are more important and have more wealth goes on the top, right? People that have like okay money and okay power goes in the middle, people that are poor goes on the bottom, right? So when you think about the caste system, it's kind of like that. It divides people into different social class based on their status, right? So the more influential people is, the higher they are, right? Ranked. And the lower they are, that means the less influential they are, right? So the term you defined in the previous slides are based on the Hindu belief system. Along with the system that govern religious practices, there's also a social structure called a caste system that is strictly enforced within Indian society. A caste system is a class structure that is determined by birth, into which the Indian people of India were traditionally divided. So because this caste system divides people, right? This is how people in India were divided, right? People at the top stay with people at the top, people in the middle stay with people in the middle, and so forth, right? Whichever caste you are born into, this is the one you will stay in for life. So say you are born at the bottom, right? You will stay in the bottom for life. So you know in society right now, if we're born poor, can we move up or we can't?
we can.
Hmm?
We can.
We can, right? Through what?
Working.
We can work and we can move up, right? But in this one, if you're born into this caste system, you can't move up. You're stuck in there for life. If you're born at the bottom, you have to stay at the bottom. It's not like us that we can work. If we're born at the bottom, we can work our way to the top, right? Through like getting a good job and having more money, right? We can climb the ladder, right? But they can't. So it says the only way to move up or down is through reincarnation. Your karma, good or bad, affects whether you move up or down on the pyramid, right? So the only way to move up is through what?
Being good.
Being good, reincarnation, right? So you have to die and be born. So for example, you were born in the lower class, right? You could die, and then maybe you're born into a higher class, right?
And you have to have good. You have to have good karma.
You could, so for you to move out, Xavier said you probably have to do good, right? Have good karma, right? So karma determines your position, right? Whether you're good or bad, right? So it says that this system is still prevalent in villages across the country, right? It determines who can live where, what job they can have, who can speak to who, and even what human rights they may have. So this caste system is very, it can cause a lot of bad things for people, right? Because people may be restricted, right? And maybe you can't live where you want to live, you can't have the job you want to have, you can't speak to whoever you want to speak to, right? Does this sound fair or unfair?
Unfair.
Why does it sound unfair?
Because you can't even go talk to like someone like a little higher than you.
You can't talk to what else? Why would this be unfair? What do you think this would be unfair, Junior?
Because if you meet an Indian friend and then he goes to the top and then your Indian friend goes to the top, I'll never see him again.
So if you met an Indian friend and he's at the upper class, you may not be able to talk to him, you're saying?
I'll never see him again. See it. See it again.
You can never see him again? Xavier?
It would be unfair because
Be unfair because
the higher class will not be able to give money to like the lower class.
you think the high class will not be able to give money to lower class? What's that? someone has something different, or
You
we share?
can't get the job that the higher class people have. Like you get the bad job.
So you can't get the higher class jobs. You only get the bad jobs, right? So you're restricted in all areas of your life. It just restricts you, right? Which is not fair, right? So this is the caste system in India. So the caste system is deeply rooted in the Hindus and believe in karma and reincarnation. So whatever you do in life, it determines your status, right? So at the top, right, we have the Brahmins, right? And these people are seen as the eyes, right? They're people like Hindu priests, advisors, and intellectual leaders, right? And they're seen, like I said, the eyes. Then here is the second highest, and it's the Kshatriyas, right? And these people are like the rulers, military leaders, large landowners. And these people are seen as like the arms, right? And then here, which is the third highest of the four varnas, we have the Kashya, Vashya, right? And these people are merchants, traders, and farmers. And they're often seen as the legs, right? And then we have the Chandras, which is the lowest rank varna, and they are like artisans, laborers, and servants. And then we have the Dalit, which is seen as the feet, right, the bottom. And these are like outcasts, right? You can look at these people like homeless people, right? So based on how they rank, you could look at them like body parts, right? The highest rank with the eyes, then the Kshatriyas, the
Second highest.
yeah, the hands. We have the Vashyas, right? Which are the legs. And the Shanjas, which are the feet, right? And the Dalit. So we're gonna watch a video real fast, and it's gonna explain in more detail for you guys, right?
Grammarly's proactive, automatic writing suggestions are great, but sometimes you just want to tell Grammarly how to help. As you write, you can click Grammarly here to get on-demand generative AI. This video will detail in what ways the ancient Indians were divided into social classes, and in what ways social classes of ancient India reflected the attitudes, beliefs, and needs of ancient Indian society. The term social classes through a historian's lens means how a civilization is divided into classes that have different roles, responsibilities, and privileges. For example, most ancient civilizations are ruled by kings and governed locally by nobles. A working class of farmers and laborers made up most of the population, and in some cases, the lowest class were slaves. How were the people of ancient India divided into social classes? The Aryans brought the caste system to ancient India, creating a strict social ladder. Each group was a different varna, or social class in ancient India. Let's take a closer look at each varna in order, from the most to the least significant in India's society. The Brahmins, or top social class, were priests, scholars, and later Hindu gurus or teachers. Next were the Kshatriyas, or the upper middle class, who were kings and warriors. The Vaishyas, or the middle class, made up businessmen, traders, and farm owners. The Shudras were servants or unskilled farmers, considered inferior to the other castes mentioned above. Lastly, at the bottom, were the Dalit, or untouchables, who were laborers that did the lowest and worst of jobs. Though they were not slaves, they were considered unclean and were often forced to live outside of villages. While it's unfair, once a person is born into one of 5 groups, they have little to no chance of moving into different varnas. People were prohibited to marry outside of their own varna. They lived in communities with each other and were often forbidden to mingle with other varnas.
So what were some consequences of these?
They were forced to live out in the village.
They're forced to live out the village. What else?
You're not allowed to date a different low class or high class.
They're not allowed to date a lower class or high class. They had to do what? Stay
In the lower class.
They have to stay in their own status, right? Dylan?
They gotta stay on their side, and then the higher person gotta stay on theirs.
They all have to stay in their own side, right? So they're all divided. Like you stay over there, I stay over there. So based on our status, if I'm upper class and I stay here, and you low class, you stay over there, right? We don't mingle, right? We don't interact with each other.
Ways that social classes of ancient India reflect the attitudes, beliefs, and needs of ancient India society. The highest social class, the Brahmins, were those directly connected with Hinduism. They were religious scholars who sought knowledge and heightened spirituality or enlightenment. The word Brahmin has its root in the name Brahman, the universal being of Hinduism, of which all Hindu deities are connected. In the Hindu religion, dharma are the duties of each caste member. Dharma gives direction for each varna on how to live.
So when we talk about dharma being the duty, right? So dharma gives direction on how these people should live, right? What duties do they have, right?
Their lives in the best way. If life is not lived in the best way, Hindus believe that the spirit of a human or animal gets reincarnated into or reborn into a host of a different social class. This aspect of their religion further reinforced the caste system to India's population. The middle class consisted of merchants and farm owners, reflecting the importance of trade and agriculture throughout India's history. Test your knowledge. In this game, you'll try to predict the varna
Let's play those
to
games.
which the character belongs based on their actions.
Remember, the Brahmins were the priests, scholars, Hindu gurus or teachers. The Kshatriyas were the king or the warriors. The Vaishya was the businessmen, traders, or farm owners. The Shudra were the servants or skilled farmers. And then the Dalit, the untouchable, were like the laborers, right?
First, quickly familiarize yourself with the varna members and their roles.
So familiarize yourself with it. Okay, so to which varna does the character belong? So look at the character.
This is Rishi. Based on his actions, to which ancient Indian social class or varna does he most likely belong to?
So which social class do you think he belongs to?
Delta.
You think he belongs to the which one?
The one all the way at the bottom.
The one at the way at the bottom, the Dalit, the untouchable? Why?
Nothing on top of that one. I think it's a slave.
Okay, why do you think that he belongs there? Let me think. Why do you think so? Tell me, what reason? Why do you think so? Tell me whatever you think. What do you think he belongs to the untouchables, the last one?
Because he looks like one.
Because he looks like it? Okay, somebody says something different?
I think he's like a slave.
You think he's a slave? Which class do you think he belongs?
The second to last.
The Chandras?
Sanya.
The Chandra.
I think he's a Sanya
Because
because he doesn't look like he like have that much clothes on. He probably won't have high level brain. And I know that he's I think he's an unskilled farmer.
you think he's an unskilled farmer?
Yeah, I was gonna say I think he's an unskilled farmer too.
So you belong to the Chandra?
Same facts over
Right.
here.
Probably a slave.
What do you say?
Same facts though.
You say you agree with Axel? Okay, let's see if you guys are right.
Is he a Brahmin, a Kshatriya, a Vaishya, or Shudra?
So you guys say Shudra?
Is it on Suja or Fajia?
And which one do you say?
Shudra.
Sudra?
Suja.
Sudra?
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's see if you guys are right.
That's right, he's farming, which means he's most likely a Shudra.
Yeah, right. See? Nice job.
This is Samir.
Okay,
Based on his actions, to which ancient Indian social class or varna does he most likely belong? Is-
The trader one.
Okay, so, you said he looks like a trader? Vashi. You guys-
He's the businessman and
He
trader.
looks like a businessman and trader, you guys say?
Yes.
Is he a Brahmin, a Kshatriya, a Vaishya, or Shudra? That's right, he's exchanging goods, which means he's most likely a Vaishya. As you can see from the game, each social class in ancient Indian society performed different roles in order to fit the needs of the
So each social class perform different roles, right? And these different roles are known as their what?
Job.
What's the D word we want to use?
Duties.
Duties. What's it called?
Doorman.
Dorma, right? Okay, so do question or rebel against the caste system? Why not?
No, I don't think they will because when they're born, they can't go higher or lower.
But do you think everyone ever question it or try to fight against it?
I think they have fought or tried against it or like fought and everything prior to high school.
What do you guys think?
I think it would not make sense. No one should fight back.
You don't think it makes sense? Do you guys think that anybody has rebelled against it? The caste system or try to fight against it? Because you guys said it's unfair. Do you think anyone has?
Yes.
Why? For some reason.
I'm pretty sure this because talking and begging to get money or something. The pro class, the untouchable outcast, it's all begging.
Okay, anybody want to share something else or share something different? Do you think people will fight against it to say, oh, it's unfair? Like, for example, if you see something that's unfair, right? And you don't like it, do you think you will fight against it? So do you think people would fight against the system to change it so that people can actually move?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Why? Tell me, Aiden.
Because people wouldn't want to be in the lower class because they don't like really have good jobs for them.
So maybe people wouldn't want to be stuck in the lower class forever, right?
Yeah.
So maybe people have fought against it, right? Okay, so today we're gonna read a story in our books, and we're gonna fill out a graphic organizer, right? So you guys already have the graphic organizer. So the story is on page 148 in your book. So turn to 148. Yes. I'm gonna get the lights. Okay, so this one is called the Tailor's Dorma. You guys have it?
Yeah.
So it says the tailors sit on our veranda, and it gives you the meaning. So the veranda is a roofed platform outside a home. You guys know what a veranda is? You ever seen it?
Yeah.
Like in the Caribbean where I live, there's a lot of houses with like, kind of think of it of like a porch, like an outside porch. He has worked for us for many years. I recline on the small lawn and look at him from my wicker chair. I am thirsty. I get up and bring 2 glasses of water, one for the tailor and one for myself. So who do you think the tailor is?
The Karma?
Not the who? Karma? Not Karma, but who do you think the tailor is?
The middle class? Probably like the
Like the servant, right?
Servant,
He's the servant of the master, right? Because right here it says Sahib, which means master. He says, you should have asked me to get you some water. Don't you like me anymore? So the master decided to get himself some water, right? But it's not, is it his job or the tailor's job?
tailor's job.
Tailor's job, right? So the tailor was saying to him, Shahid, you should have asked me to get you some water. Don't you like me anymore? And then the master said, what is the difference, I asked. He stopped turning the wheel, leave his tool on the veranda, and comes and sits on the ground at my feet. Take this chair, I say, nervously standing up. He put both his gaunt, which means it has a definition on the side, a skinny or lean, usually from hunger, right? On my knees, and I drop back into the chair. Sahib, don't you like me anymore? You don't let me get you a glass of water because you don't like me. What has England done to you? What do you think what he means, what has England done to you?
I'm pretty sure he went on a vacation from England and the people changed.
So maybe he went on a vacation to England, right? And he's seen things that made him change. Aiden?
He went on a vacation to England and he saw like people doing stuff.
So
He probably changed.
he probably changed, his perspective changed when he went to England, right?
Not too much.
So why do you think the tailor is upset?
Because now he's not using it no more.
No, he's not using him anymore, right? And it's the tailor's job to do what?
To give him stuff.
To give him stuff, right? I try tailor that he and I should be able to get each other water without his being hurt. But he sits at my feet holding my knees and refuses to accept my explanation. He points to his scarred forehead. So what is the master trying to tell the tailor that what? Not to come, but why is he trying to tell the tailor?
Like, he should have asked me to give you the water.
No, but listen again. He said, I tried to explain, this is the master talking, right? I tried to explain to the tailor, his servant, right? That he and I should be able to get each other water without his being hurt. So what is he saying?
Oh,
So he wants-
so he doesn't get home.
So the master is trying to say that he's trying to explain to his servant that what?
They should get their own water.
Not they should get their own water, but well, I'm gonna read it one more time. Listen carefully, right? It says, I tried to explain to the tailor, so he's trying to explain to his servant that he and I should be able to get each other water without his being hurt. So the tailor's what is hurt?
His feeling.
His feelings is hurt because why?
He
Because he doesn't.
It's his job.
Because it's his
It's
job
like
to get the water, right? And he didn't like the master that the master got the water because like that's my job, right? That's my dorma, right? It's my duty to get you water. You're not supposed to get me water, right?
He's the master, so he has to stand.
But the master is trying to explain to him what? That what?
that they
Then
should
we-
have each other.
they should get their
they
own
should give
water.
each other water.
So that they could give that. It's okay for them to give each other water, right? It's okay for me to get the water, right? But the tailor refuses to do what?
To
Listen.
listen.
To listen, right? He refuses to accept this. He's like, no, that's not your duty. That's my duty, right?
Doesn't that mean the servant is gonna get back karma?
That's why you're trying to. So that's why maybe the servant is scared because he thinks he's gonna get bad karma because he's not able to perform his what?
Duty.
That's a good inference, right? It says, my station is where, this is what the tailor says. He says, my station is written there. Then he points to my forehead. Your station is written there. It's all in the book of karma and dharma. My karma says I must be a tailor, and my dharma said I must do my duty by my sahibs. So what do you think he means by that?
By listening to the master.
That his karma and his dharma says what? That he must do what?
Bring water.
That he must do his duty to his, whatever his master wants, he must do. He must be of service to his master, right? That's his dharma, that's his karma, right? And he says, you can no more change my station than I can change yours. And station means your position in society. So think about the caste system. So what is he saying? You can no more change my station than I can change yours. What is he saying?
You could no longer change his
station.
caste system.
So you can't change the caste system because why? There's what?
Because you can't.
He's already a loyal worker.
You got the slave and you got the worker to hire. And they can't go higher or lower.
They can't go stuck here for what?
Stuck.
They're
in the
stuck here for what?
class.
Like,
For life, right?
For
The
life.
only option they could change is through what?
yeah, reincarnation.
Reincarnation, right? And then karma.
How is the wait, how is the servant talking to the higher class if he cannot talk to the higher?
Because he's a servant.
He's a servant.
He's allowed to talk to them only if he is a servant. If he's like, if he's not serving to the master, he shouldn't be talking to that guy.
Like, you can talk to someone, like, for example, you could talk to someone socially and be their friend, right? If you work for someone, that's a different relationship,
You
right?
can't talk to someone that you don't work with.
So he has to talk to his servant because he works for him, right? It says, you will marry in your caste, and I will marry my son to a girl. You can no more change my station than I can change yours. You will marry in your caste, and I will marry my son to a girl in our own caste. You will send your children to England to be educated, and I will teach my grandsons to be good tailors. What is he saying?
He teaches grandsons to be good servants.
And the
He
master,
will send
and the master will
his kids.
send his children to
He will send his children to get educated.
So his master would send his kids to get educated in England, right? And the tailor would teaches his sons to be what?
a slave.
A slave. Not a slave,
Slave, but
a servant.
A servant.
Right? So now we're gonna go based on what we just read, right? We're gonna go to our graphic organizer. So you guys already have it on your desk, right? We're gonna answer the first question. question, right? This is gonna be my idea. It says, what is the meaning behind the story? So I know the story is about the master and his servant, right? The master got himself a glass of water, and his servant is upset because it was his duty to get his master the water, right? His master is not supposed to get his water. So the servant's like, don't you like me anymore? What has England done to you, right? So I know that the meaning behind the story is that people have duties that they must perform. They're dorma, right? Based on their status and role in society, right? So the tailor's duty is to be of service to his master, right? But you see that the master got himself water, and the tailor was, that's not your job, that's my job, right? And you guys don't have to write this, it's already on your graphic organizer, right? So people have duties that they must perform, which we call dorma, right? Based on their status and their role in society, right? If your status in society is a servant, you must serve your master, right? Now we're gonna do this one together. It says, what does the story reveal about people's view of themselves, and how do you know? So what do you think the story reveals about people's view of themselves?
Can you read it again? The question?
What does the story reveal about people's view of themselves? Based on what we just read, how do you think people view themselves? People view themselves based on what?
Their job?
Their job.
Their duty,
Okay, people,
their work.
so people view themselves based on their job, their duties, what else?
And the way that they treat people.
Their dharma. Think about the caste system and dharma and karma. So people view themselves based on what?
Their level.
The level of
Their
what?
duty. Or their
Their
Highs and low.
Not highs and lows, but people view themselves based on what?
Their names.
Not their names.
Their class.
Their class. People view themselves based on what social class they're in, right? So whatever I write, so people, right? They're gonna write this. People. The story reveals that people view themselves
what about
based on the people, based on their social class, based on their social status, right? And what? And think about their dharma and the what they have to. Their what does dharma mean?
duty?
And based on and their duties, right? So based on their social class and the duties they have to perform, right? And their duties, which is dharma. And how do you know this? Go back to the text and tell me something that tells you how do we know this? What did the master say or the tailor said that makes us know that people view themselves based on their social class? What did he say?
I should be able to. You should have asked me to get you water.
So you should have asked me to get you water.
Instead of you getting the water by yourself.
Okay, look in what else can we say that we know this? Look at, I'm gonna give you a hint. Look at the last two paragraphs.
Okay.
My station is written there. When you come to my phone, your station is written there. It is all in the books of karma
In dark.
and dharma.
My karma.
Oh, my karma says I must be a tailor, and my dharma says I must do my duty by my side.
Sahib. So he says my station is written there, right? Then he points to my forehead. Your station is written there. It's all in the books of karma, right? My karma says I must be a tailor, and my dharma says I must do my duty by my sahibs. This is how we know that people view themselves based on their social status and the duties they have to perform, right? And what determines their duties?
Like
Their karma, and
Not-
they didn't.
Their karma, but what determines their duties? What do we talk about? What's it called?
their class.
Their class, right? Their
Social
social class. You wrote it? You wrote it?
I won't.
Done.
We're done? you're gonna now you guys are gonna do finish the rest of the organizer by yourself.
There's no more.